Okay, Wildcats, today we're at journal page 76, dividing polynomials. Dividing polynomial methods. Method 1, factor. Method 2, long division. Method 3, synthetic division. Okay, so if you would, update your notes. Now your notes are updated, let's take a look at the examples. All right, let's look at method 1, factoring. Okay, so in example 1, we have 3x squared minus 10x plus 3 divided by x minus 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to factor the numerator. Okay, now we note two parentheses, and then that's just divided by x minus 3. Okay, now we know in order to get 3x squared, it has to be 3x and 1x. If that's going to be 1x, let's make that 1x. Okay, now we need to find all the combinations that multiply to give us positive 3. Well, we know negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. Now, we need to get the middle term to be negative 10. So now we're going to multiply 3 times negative 1 and 1 times negative 3 and hope we get negative 10. So that's 3 times negative 1 plus 1 times negative 3, and that equals negative 6. We didn't get negative 10, but we can switch the combination. So we can do 3 times negative 3 plus 1 times negative 1, which that is negative 9 minus 1 is negative 10. That works. So we're multiplying 3 times negative 3. So the negative 3 goes right here, and the negative 1 goes right here. Now, the reason we did this is because now we can see that x minus 3 divided by x minus 3 is 1, because anything divided by itself is 1. And we're left with 3x minus 1. So when you divide 3x squared minus 10x plus 3 divided by x minus 3, you're left with 3x minus 1. Okay? All right, example 2. Okay, so again, we're going to use method 1, factor. Now we're going to factor the numerator by grouping. So it looks like, because the reason we say that is because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there's 4 terms you factor by grouping. Now the first two terms we can factor out in x squared, which leaves 2x minus 3. Now it looks like we can factor out a negative 4 from the second two terms, which leaves negative 4 times 2x minus 3. These are the same, so we can factor by grouping. Now let's factor the denominator. All right. Now denominator, we know two parentheses. Now to make 2x squared, we know that's 2x and 1x. Okay. Now we need to find out what combinations make negative 6. Well, we know negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. So now let's do 2 times negative 1 plus 1 times 6, which equals, that's negative 2 plus 6 is 4. That does not equal the middle number of 1. So now let's do 2 times 6 plus 1 times negative 1. Well, that's 12 minus 1, which is 11, not positive 1. So now let's try negative 2 times positive 3, which is negative 6. So now let's multiply 2 times negative 2 plus 1 times 3, which that's negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. We have the 1, but the wrong sign, so all we have to do is switch signs. So that's 2 times positive 2 plus 1 times negative 3. Well, that's 4 minus 3, which is 1. So now we know that 2 is multiplied by the 2, so the plus 2 goes right here, and the minus 3 goes right here. Now let's come back to the numerator. We can group x squared minus 4 together and 2x minus 3 divided by, I'm going to go ahead and put the x plus 2 here and the 2x minus 3 here. Now, We're almost done, but we can factor x squared minus 4. So x squared minus 4 factors to be x plus 2, x minus 2, and that's times 2x minus 3 divided by okay, I'm going to put the x plus 2 here and the 2x minus 3 here. And the reason being is we know that this divides and becomes 1, this divides and becomes 1, and you're left with x minus 2. So now you know that 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 8x plus 12 divided by 2x squared plus x minus 6 simplifies when dividing by using factoring as x minus 2. If you would finish up example 1 and 2. All right. Now let's look at example 3. In example 3, let's use synthetic division, okay, to divide. So the first thing you need to do when using synthetic division is set x minus 3 equal to 0 and solve. So x equals 3. So 3 goes here. Now we take the leading coefficients here. So that's 1, negative 2. Now be careful. X to the fourth, third, we're missing squared. So that's 0, 3, 1. You want to make sure you represent all of the exponents, okay? Okay, so the first thing you do, bring down the 1. 3 times 1 is 3. So negative 2 and 3 combine to be 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 0 and 3 combine to be 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 and 3 combines to be 12. 3 times 12 is 36. 1 and 36 combine to be 37, which is our remainder. Now, this was x to the fourth. This was x cubed. This was x squared. This was x, and this was the constant. Now, we know when you divide, it reduces by the exponents by 1. So now this is 1x cubed plus 1x squared plus 3x plus 12 plus 37 divided by x minus 3. All right, go ahead and finish up example 3. All right, now for example 4, let's divide using long division. So when you do that, the 2x plus 1 is out here, and then 4x squared, almost put plus, that's minus 12x plus 9. Okay, so now you ask yourself, what do you multiply 2x by to give you 4x squared? And the answer to that is 2x. Notice the x goes in the x column. Now we multiply 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. Now you subtract. And if you do this correctly, this first term will always cancel. So that's negative 14x plus 9. Now you ask yourself, well, what do you multiply 2x by to give you negative 14x? The answer to that is negative 7. Notice the 7's in the constant column. Okay? So now negative 7 times 2 is negative 14x. Negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. But you subtract. When you subtract a negative, it becomes positive, positive. And again, if you do this right, this first term always cancels. 9 and 7 is 16. So the result is 2x minus 7 plus 16 divided by 2x plus 1. All right, go ahead and finish up example 4. Start working on your assignment and have a wonderful Wildcat day.